So let's take a look at the trunk twists. Again, here's the challenge. We're trying to make our arms totally limp, and when I turn my center, my hands follow that motion. What I have to try to figure out is how do I turn my center back the other way when I reach the end of my wrap. So I'm always ahead, my center is always ahead of my arms. Now, if there's muscle involved in this, what you're going to see is going to look like this. You're going to see the arms do something like this, or I'll see turning, but the hands will stop as the person who tries to mimic what I'm doing thinks that the hands are to be stopped and turned the other way. These are supposed to be extremely limp like ropes. Now, my actual toy drum is in my motorcycle as of this filming, so this is kind of lame, but you'll still get the idea. If these were strings to the little toy drum, you can see that there's no muscle. It's just hanging here. So what is it that causes these to wrap around the paintbrush is the turning of the spindle. So I guess I'll bring this in a little closer. Yeah, I know this is really lame, but oh well. It's the best I can do under the circumstances. So you can see that it's just a matter of turning the core so that the strands will come around and hit the paintbrush. Works just like those toy drums. So that's what you're trying to do with your body. You're trying to emulate that notion that you have no muscle in the strings of the toy drum or my little makeshift one. So when you're standing and doing this particular work, make sure that your arms are completely limp. We're going to focus our Zen point straight ahead and just turn the body. Now you don't have to go fast. If it's going to take you a while to get away from this stiff arm notion, just to kick it off, you might want to try having your arms totally dead and see if you can't move them just in turning your center. Then figure out how to bring the center back the other way in order to keep these things in a constant motion. Okay? So I don't want to see arms moving by themselves. That's not the work. And I don't want to see the arms being restricted or stopped. Now, in Tai Chi Chuan, every gesture we do is always led by the center. Qi comes through the legs, it's directed by the center and manifested in the hands. So this exercise is a really good one for getting the feeling of having your center move your arms, because that concept is going to be constant through every gesture that you do. Okay? So this is the easy one. We're going to take a horse stance. So in the horse stance, I want your feet perfectly parallel straight ahead, not to the corners. Again, in Tai Chi Chuan, we're trying to gain flexibility in every part of our body wherever we can. So by having my feet parallel with each other, straight ahead, it sort of locks your feet into the ground. You're going to use the ground as a natural resistance, so that when I do this next drill, I'm going to stretch my ankles at the same time. Now in this one, the arms are going to maintain that same loose feeling, except now we're going to shift our weight from one leg over to the other, and at the same time I'm going to turn. And in this case, I'm going to look 180 degrees behind me. I'm going to turn over here and keep this going. Now, again, I caution you, I see a lot of folks, they'll stand here in the middle. In other words, all they're doing is what we did when we were staying in the Wu Ji stance, but now they're in the horse stance, but they're still in the middle and looking over the shoulder. This is a weight distribution. You're going to shift from one leg over to the other. Will challenge your balance a little bit, but try to see whatever's behind you. The farther you can turn, the more flexibility you're going to get. Notice that my arms are totally limp. I'm not restricting them at all. Let them go. Let them wrap around your torso. So I call these trunk twists. Okay? Now, here's the one that everybody struggles with as a new person. When we're doing this is a natural movement. It doesn't take a lot of thinking. And I call this regular, all right? When I say opposite, opposite's going to look like this. I'm going to face my straight leg. Still looking over my shoulder. I'm still shifting my weight from one leg to the other. Keeping my feet flat on the floor, parallel. They're going to want to creep away on you. Keep them locked here. All right, so this is regular, and this is opposite. Hopefully you can see the distinction. Now, the hard part is how do I transition from regular to opposite? So, I'm going to show you a trick as to how to get between one and the other. Notice that when I turn, this is regular, and so this is instinctual. When I turn in the regular process, I'm turning in the direction of my bent leg. This is fairly easy to grasp because you kind of can do this out of instinct. Now, when I go to do what we call opposite, I'm not going to turn in the direction of my bent leg. Instead, I'm going to turn in the direction of my straight leg. Now, here's the tricky part. You're going to shift to your, the straight leg, you're going to shift to that leg and turn the other direction. You're going to shift back and turn the other direction. You have to think about this because I've noticed also that newbies will start like this, and before you know it, they fall back into the other one because that's the instinctual thing. It does take some concentration to position yourself so that you're facing your straight leg, which is opposite, versus regular when you're turning toward your bent leg. How do I make the transition? I transition by skipping one shifting of my weight. But you have to keep the drum part, the upper part, going. So think of it as a clock. It goes tick-tock, tick-tock. And you're only going to stop your shifting one time. So I'm doing regular, and I'm going to slow this down so that you can kind of follow along. I'm doing regular. Notice that I'm shifting back and forth. My upper body is still moving. I'm not going to look all the way around. You just get the idea. We're focusing on how to make the transition. Now, when I say opposite, I won't shift, but I'll keep the upper body going. When I want to go back to regular, I keep the upper body going, but I don't shift. Okay? So let's look at that in slow motion so that you can actually follow along, take your time. All right, so you're going to mirror me. All right, so I'm going to turn to my right, you'll turn to your left. So this is regular. So make sure that you shift your weight. Don't stay in the middle. That's not the work. We're also trying to stretch these ankles at the same time. So shift to your left leg and turn to your left. Look behind you. Now shift to the other leg and look behind you. Turn. All right, so we're doing regular. So I'm shifting to my left leg to your right. So shift left, shift right, shift left. Okay, we're going to go to opposite on the next one. So I'm shifting right, but I'm staying here and just turning. Now I'm going to shift left and turn. Shift right and turn. Now this is going to be a little choppy because what I want you to try to do is shift and then turn your body. Here's what's going to be challenging. When you shift and turn your body, there's a high probability that you're going to turn and shift again, and look, now you're back into regular. So that's the tricky part. That's the part that seems to be the stumbling block. Even though you started off properly, we're doing regular, I'm doing regular, even though you stayed here and turned on the first one, because we're going very slow, here's what happens. When you make this shift and start to turn, you shift again, and now you're back to regular. So here's what you're going to have to try to do. When you shift, and break it down like this, make it choppy, make it 2 parts. When you shift, stay here and just turn your upper body. Get over here, stay here, turn the upper body. Shift, turn. Shift, turn. Now obviously my arms I'm using muscle because I'm just demonstrating the position. Shift and turn. Once you think you've got this shift and turn, you can blend the motion so that it looks more like this. So I'm shifting and turning at the same time, but until you get that feel, I'd prefer that you stayed over your leg, skip 1 shift, and shift, turn, shift, turn. Obviously I'm breaking flow here, but if you do this shift and turn, make sure you don't shift and face your straight leg, then it'll come out all together as you shift and turn at the same time. Okay? I'll do this in the with my camera, back to the camera so you can see it from this angle and then you can follow along. All right, so I'm gonna shift left. This is regular. I'm looking over my shoulder, trying to see the camera. Okay. Now I'm going to shift to opposite. So I'm going to slow this down. Here we go. Opposite. Don't shift. Just turn. Shift, turn, shift, turn, shift, turn, shift, turn. Now I'm going to pick this up. Facing your straight leg. Now, I'm going to go back to regular. So I'm going to slow this down. Still doing opposite because I'm facing my straight leg. I'm not going to shift 1 time, but keep the upper body going. It never stops. As long as you think of your upper body as a clock, it just keeps moving, then you should be able to transition. All right, so here we go. And don't shift, turn. I'm going to go back to opposite. And opposite, don't shift. I'm going to go back to regular on the next one. Slowing it down. Don't shift, just turn. Just turn. Just turn. Okay, so. Oh, and because I do this as a routine, when I finish doing some of these, I don't mind get back to Wuji, I basically shift and just bring this foot in. But notice that my arms never stopped. All right. I notice sometimes in class, we'll be doing this here. Well, I start off with Wuji parallel. So we'll do a few of these things. And then I'll set up the horse stance, right, doing regular. And then I'll do opposite, a few of those. Okay, now, when I'm ready to go back to regular, that's cool, I didn't shift. Now, when I'm ready to go back to Wuji, I'll make my shift right here. But look, my upper body never stopped. Invariably, I will see students, when they hear me say Wuji, they'll stop, get their feet right, and then they'll pick it up. I'd like you to be able to do this as one continuous motion. From the minute that we start with just the basic warm-up with the focused straight ahead to stretch the neck, to the full opposite and regular, and then all the way back to here with the upper body never stopping that entire time. Okay, so I'll give you something to do.